According to rumors, the city of Montreal has set animal traps around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to lessen the probability of a big crash during the forthcoming Canadian Grand Prix weekend. Formula One has not raced in the nation for the previous 2 years, owing to cancellations caused by the COVID-19 outbreak, but is set to return on the 19th of June, with measures put in place to prevent local fauna before the cars go to the circuit. Do you think they've done enough to make the location suitable for the upcoming race? We will be answering this question and more. Stay tuned till the end of the video to learn about it. Please like the video, share and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. Lewis Hamilton won the Canadian Grand Prix in 2019, and he will be trying to replicate the feat when the action resumes in Montreal next month, ahead of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. According to some sources, a number of tiny animals have made their way onto the circuit in recent years, but officials have moved to avoid such incidents in the future by erecting traps around the perimeter of the track. A few dozen cages are alleged to have been placed at various spots along the circuit's edge to catch any rats that could trespass onto the asphalt. Food has been placed in the cages as bait to entice unsuspecting animals into the traps before they are locked in by the metal doors, which crash shut upon admission. Once captured, the animals are transported to a secure region of the city within 24 hours to remove them from the track's proximity. The restrictions, according to Kevin Gauthier, a spokesman for the Société du Parc Jean Drapeau, are intended to limit the probability of potentially dangerous incidents between F1 cars and small animals, which have occurred in recent Canadian Grand Prix. It is a priority for us to ensure the healthy cohabitation of the activities that take place on our site, he said. Several animals have been hit or just avoided by F1 cars on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in recent years. In 2015, Felipe Massa had to react fast to avoid a renegade marmot as he neared the last chicane, but 3 years later, Romain Grosjean was unable to prevent himself from striking and killing another little creature. Meanwhile, a groundhog unintentionally lost Anthony Davidson a podium result during the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix. After colliding with the animal while running in the third position, the Super Aguri driver was forced to dive into the pit lane for a replacement wing, sending him down the order. Previously, local officials utilized fox urine, a natural predator of marmots, to keep mice and other animals away from the circuit grounds. However, this remedy is not currently in place due to its lack of real effectiveness in keeping animals away from the tarmac. Groundhogs, or marmots, have appeared every year since the event's inception in 1978, and some have died after colliding with F1 vehicles. Grosjean damaged the nose of his Haas crash in 2019, and he was irritated that television images had revealed an animal in that vicinity, alerting race control to the knowledge that one was on the loose. When queried, Whiting revealed how he had defended the organizers' handling of the matter when the drivers met with the FIA later that day. Whitling said, "I gave them the full explanation of why that was during the driver's briefing. Of course, we saw the groundhog, and I did ask whether or not it was feasible to try and catch him, and I was told by those who know much more than I do about groundhogs that it was a very unwise thing to try and do. We felt that on balance it was better to leave him there and hope that he didn't make a dash for it, but he did, unfortunately. They are indigenous to the island. They are protected and they do their best to get to places that they are not supposed to go. We do our best to try and fill up all the holes, but they just dig new ones, and they quite often get onto the track. It's not nice, but there's very little that we can actually do to eradicate it." Grosjean had argued that more could have been done to catch the animal. He added, "It's a bit disappointing because they showed it on TV before the beginning of the session at turn 13, and that's exactly where I hit it. I'm surprised they didn't move it. It's a shame for the animal, of course, and it's a shame for our front wing as well. We are quite limited on spare parts, and losing a front wing like this is a bit disappointing." Grosjean managed to escape in his Lotus that day, but not during the FP2 session of the 2018 Grand Prix weekend. The hit was not broadcast on the international stream for obvious reasons, but the Haas F1 team tweeted Grosjean's radio communication. The Frenchman claimed to have collided with a massive animal on the straight. They later released a photo of the hit on the front wing, which left the nose badly damaged. Grosjean hugged the groundhog mascot in the paddock after the workout. The global feed showed a resting groundhog marmot along the side of the Formula One track before the start of the practice. Meanwhile, focused on the on-track action, the Frenchman finished 8th in FP2 as the best of the remainder behind the top 6 drivers. Grosjean said, "It's been a pretty good day. We had FP1 and we learned quite a bit about the new upgrade, then in FP2 the car behaved nicely. We tried all 3 different compounds between the 2 cars. There's some more work to do, but it's been encouraging. The new aero package does suit me pretty well. It's an amazing circuit. I really like the feeling I get here. It's not easy to find a balance, and the racing line is always changing. The grip is coming up during the weekend, but I really always enjoy driving here. Then at the end, unfortunately, an animal decided to cross the straight line. I did follow the advice. I didn't steer to avoid it, but unfortunately, we had contact. It was high speed. I couldn't do anything to avoid it." His team principal Gunther Steiner added, "We were unlucky. Romain hit some kind of animal, which cut short his session and did a lot of damage to the car." Something similar happened in 2015 when a groundhog hurried onto the track during the Canadian Grand Prix. It raced to safety and evaded incoming race vehicles with the speed of a Formula One racer. Philippe Massa was pursuing the rodent on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve when he collided with two other cars. Massa swerved to miss it, and the terrified animal crept back behind the barrier. Matteo Bonciani: "In this country you have such beautiful wildlife. I'm so happy that in the end it was all right." In Sunday's race, which Lewis Hamilton won, the open-wheeled cars reached a high speed of 212 miles per hour. When an animal arrives on the track, according to Massa, it is always shocking, though it is not unheard of. Dogs have gotten into races in India and Brazil, while a groundhog appeared during the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix. Massa had ample time to respond, but he was concerned that the two cars following him might miss the groundhog. The Brazilian said, "It's dangerous more for the animal than for me, but if we hit it, it's not good for our car either." The system Gilles Villeneuve is regularly visited by animals, many of which are groundhogs. This time, though, a fox strayed onto the track. During the first practice session of the 2012 Canadian Grand Prix, a fox wandered onto the track in Sector 1 of the circuit, roaming around Turn 4 until it crossed the track near the exit and tucked itself beneath a concrete wall. Kimi Räikkönen was not alone in his interaction with a squirrel at the chicane near Turn 8. Anthony Davidson, a 2014 World Endurance Championship champion, was riding with Japanese team Super Aguri during the 2007 Formula One Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal when he collided with a beaver on the track. The Briton, who was on the verge of a podium finish, was forced to pit to repair his front wing. He plummeted to 11th place after losing his lone chance to collect points in Formula One racing. Unfortunately, the beaver died, taking Davidson's podium hopes with it. However, there have been many more occasions where an animal has been involved in the race. At the Bude International Circuit, a dog sets a lap time. Noida hosted the country's first Grand Prix in 2011. While the country ultimately made its spectacular entrance into the world of Formula One racing, the contract was dissolved in 2014. The Bude International Circuit's first practice session included a special lap from a very special visitor. The black stray dashed around the circuit, almost colliding with Italian driver Adrian Sutil, who was then driving for Force India, as he entered the pit lane. The practice was interrupted when authorities jumped into a makeshift safety vehicle, their Jeep, and pursued it off the circuit. Another animal invasion occasion happened when Jenson Button, then a 20-year-old driver making his Formula One debut with Williams, was testing for the firm at Kyalami near Johannesburg when he collided with a bird whilst doing 160 miles per hour in his vehicle. The bird was killed instantaneously as it collided with the airbox of the Williams BMW directly over Button's head. His father, John Button, believes the damage would have been much more severe and perhaps fatal for Jenson if he had not sat as low in his vehicle as he did. The bird was huge, with legs that were 7 inches long. Button, however, was unharmed and afterward laughed about the situation. Do you think there won't be an animal interruption in the coming Canadian GP? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for staying with me till the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bye!